appreciate so many people coming out to watch the video called Must See. That was a bit of a trick of my part, because when I say must see, it's like, well, why I must see that then? But I do feel like that video is important to set up the context for the work. There are new developments in the work, and that video that you watched sets it up really well, because in the video I talk about the forest and how it's all you. So when you see this imaginary forest, this visualization, the dense forest in which there are animals, there are, metaphorically speaking, there are traumas, repressions, core woundedness, shame hidden in that forest. That forest is your body. So what's so deceptive about the forest is that it just gives you flashes, like the animal's eyes or a flashing image of the animal. But the animal never comes out of the forest, so it remains unconscious. It's just like our body, where we might get images or words, but essentially the contraction of the pain stays. It may diminish some over time, but it essentially stays, because we're not getting to the animals that are hidden in there, the unconscious material. And even when we access the unconscious material, what do you do with it? Because it's its own animal. Speaking of puns, it literally has its own intelligence. It does its own thing. And it's not like other arisings in the sense that it's a very, very powerful, these trauma and repression commands are very, very powerful energy. That's why they've turned to pain or contraction, the power of those thoughts and feelings. That's what you're feeling in the body there. So how do you unleash that power, to integrate that power, that energy, so that becomes your realizations more embodied? That's the whole point of that video. So now I just want to explain to you that we've developed repression work generally to get at this unconscious material. But there's a new tool called intentional rapid fire, which is changing things drastically for people. What people are noticing now is that pain and contraction is melting at a much faster rate, and that the intentional rapid fire is much more regulating to the nervous system than previous tools. I can't do the tool with you here for the same reasons that I don't do deep somatic work publicly, because as I've said, we had some issues with that. I did a whole video on it where I explained that certain people were doing repression work and they weren't doing it skillfully. They weren't being supported in an environment. And so when old energy came up, they didn't know what to do with it. I've learned through the years that you work with people on these issues in a supportive, ongoing way. So that's what we're doing in the members area. So I can't do it here publicly, but I can explain it. And if it piques your interest, just come to the Killaby members area. Let me see if I can just explain it. These animals, which are really just this unconsciousness, there's a bunch of programs, as I've said many times, like commands to hold back this, or don't share that, or stay away from these people, or whatever. Trauma, repression commands held in that pain or contraction. Now, so what we're learning how to do is extract the material from it, basically. So we've developed really skillful inquiries that don't just sit and wait for something to arise, because that's unconscious. It doesn't produce much. So we've learned how to more proactively prompt up that material. And we've gotten really good at that in the last couple of years, to be able to prompt up the material. And so what we're prompting up essentially are thoughts that have a lot of energy on them. And these are thoughts that are controlling your life. Like, hold back, don't say that, all those things that have to do with trauma responses, and repression responses to life. So when we pull it up, at first we were just witnessing it, like this thought, and then that thought, and then that thought, until we learned that the energy itself is roaring. It's actually not discrete thoughts coming, as you often see in meditation. And this is why I think people have bypassed body contraction and pain, is because if something does get produced in awareness from it, They're just observing kind of one thought after the other. But the way that this unconsciousness works is not like a dripping faucet like that. It doesn't produce thoughts like that, like drip, and then that falls away, and then another thought, and that falls away, like the drip of a faucet. It's actually more like a faucet. So the commands in your body are more like, hold back, you can't, no. It's like constant energy signal. Or don't, no, run, stop. So if you're not hearing those things, that means you haven't even contacted the animal yet. So the animal's lying dormant with all of that energy there. That's the reason that it's painful. All that energy is there. So when you start to make contact with it, it's not a drip. It's not like a hold back. You should really hold back. Witness. It's not like that. It's hold back as a constant streaming energy. And there's an intelligence to it. So what we've learned how to do is harness that energy and, believe it or not, send it back into the sensation in a conscious way. So the thought comes up as an unconscious energy. In other words, it's actually not a thought at first. It's energy that has intelligence with it. But the thoughts that are with it, the mind stuff that's in the energy is very hard to discern. That's the unconscious material. But once you start to hear it, you literally translate it in your mind and you speak it and send it back into the energy. But you have to do it in a way that meets the force and momentum of that faucet. So what you're doing is this faucet of energy is coming up in awareness, and you're learning how to translate it, make it conscious, and send it right back in a conscious thought form into that energy. And then as it does that, the energy begins to just melt and dissolve, because the energy and the contraction is being held together by the unconsciousness. The fact that the stories are unconscious is what keeps it there. So when you send the conscious material back into it, the contraction can't stay, because it thrives on unconsciousness, in consciousness, in the light of awareness, where everything is seen. Not just seen, but like it's seen in the form that it is, as a constant streaming intelligent energy. Once it's seen and brought into awareness, the contraction it can't survive in that. And so we're noticing again that it's much more efficient, it's much more effective than anything we were doing before. I don't want you to take this the wrong way, because it's not an ego thing, but I feel like we have just discovered like a major advancement in spiritual practice. I don't have any energy around that. Like, if you don't agree with me, I don't feel defensive, but I still feel like this is a major advancement in spiritual practice. And you have never heard me say that before, those words. I've come out and told you about how skillful the repression work, but never have I said a major advancement. This tool is a major advancement in embodiment. But the thing is we don't market. We don't promote. Where you see some teachers putting in thousands of dollars each month to let the public know about them, we don't do that. It's not a self-righteous thing. It's just that I feel like here our main focus is the work. It's not about becoming popular, believe it or not. So we are more interested if just a small group of earnest people come. We're looking more for earnestness rather than numbers. But so therefore, not marketing. So many people don't know about this. That's the reason that I get on here every day. This is something that people are going to want to know about. Trust me, you're going to want to know about this, because once you learn this tool, you're going to see some of the old practices as like molasses. Frankly, you're going to see new advanced skills that are really highly skillful really help you see the lack of skill that you had before, and this one will definitely show it to you once you learn it. I don't feel comfortable pitching things like this, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a pitcher, I'm a catcher. Just kidding, I don't know what that means. That's actually a gay joke. But this is one where I'm making an exception. I'm pitching this, guys. This is the pitch. You're definitely going to want to learn this, frankly. The reason I'm okay with pitching is because there's this wonderful tool that I know that can help people. There's no shame around that. But just generally, I don't like pitching. So don't make me do it too much more. Just hear this video and try it. And if you don't try it, that's fine. But I feel like I'm going to be talking in the future about this tool and integrating it. And if you don't know how it works, some of what I say might be lost on you. So if interested, go to the Killaby members area, killaby.com. Drop down menu at the top, scroll down to go to Killaby members area. Let me explain something when you get there. When you get there, we've divided the members area between level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is where we show you how to do KI, all the tools. So you learn how to inquire the way that we do it. And then you learn how to manage your nervous system so that because KI can bring up stuff. We teach you how to be with that in a way that reduces resistance so that things can flow in and out as they're conjured up. We want you to have that skill set before you get into level 2. Level 2 is where we're doing the intentional rapid fire. You can't do intentional rapid fire until you learn the basic KI tools, because the intentional rapid fire is like an advanced application of those tools. So some of you who are really gung-ho, I don't want you to put the brakes on that, but I want you to do this very conscientiously, because we've actually created a supportive environment so that people are supported and they're not dysregulated or re-traumatized, and that they have follow-up help, because repression and trauma work can bring things up. So we're doing it in that safer container, and I ask that you come there to do it with us for those reasons. Good stuff, guys. Check this out.